Okay. I'm hoping that the camera is where it's okay to see everything that I'm doing. Okay, so I went today. I had to go to buy Tractor Supply to get some chick feed. So I went ahead, and while I was there, they had these sweet banana peppers, and I think it was $5.98 for a 6-pack, but there are 7 in here, which is great. I do not have sweet banana pepper seeds, but that's one thing that my youngest son absolutely adores having. Because in this bed, I went ahead and I had some plants planted in it last year, our basil and some kale plants over the winter. I went ahead and put a whole bunch of mulch in here, especially when the basil was growing, to hold water because we went through a pretty good drought last year. But also during the winter, I didn't want to have to water constantly, especially because the weather is so unpredictable, going from upwards of 78 degrees and back down into the 30s and 20s. So I didn't want it to have to worry about it freezing when it got down that low by watering constantly. So I just put mulch on top of it. That way it kind of took care of itself. And also, who really wants to be outside when it's that cold? So I went ahead, and what I'm doing is raking back the top layer of compost. We signed up for Chip Drop, so for $20, um, we were able to get several loads of wood chips. These have cedars and other things that grow around Central Texas in it. And so we went ahead and added this as a layer of mulch to help retain moisture. Now it's just laid on top of the compost, so it's not actually under the soil or mixed into it. It's just on top of it, kind of as a retaining layer. And I'm not sure what I did with my pointed shovel. So it's going to be interesting to try to use this little flat shovel to dig out these holes. So here's what I'm going to do here is dig a hole for my plant. I'm going to start about right here. That way they have room to grow and hopefully they can get a decent size.
Hi. What you planning?
Sweet banana peppers. But even though they're super dry, they do not, just try not to break the stems, but grabbing it as close to the bottom of stem as possible. They're pretty dry on top. It turns out they're pretty moist and kind of wet in the bottom, so maybe that's why they're not coming out. These definitely, if you can see the amount, there's quite a bit of roots in here already. So I'm glad to be getting these planted today, even though I just brought them home about 15 minutes ago. That way they're not sitting in there and getting more root bound. And then I'm just gonna pull the soil over the top right above where the roots is. So I'll come closer. This maybe not to this one because it has 2. So this one, you can see here are the roots. And here, I'm planting it to right here, just right above where that soil is. And then kind of pushing the soil around there and just letting it be. Works out pretty well for me. And this one actually has 2 of them inside of it. So I'm just gonna break this in half right where between the 2 plants and then have like 2 little blocks. Actually, yeah, there you go. And that's what I ended up with. So they're decent sized plants, but they're not so big that I really need to worry too much about transplanting them. And I went ahead yesterday and I added soil to this square bed and a rectangular bed that's out of the frame, so you can't see it right now. And that way I could go ahead and plant some seeds. Unfortunately, we let our dogs out here and they just went crazy digging up a lot of our carrots that we had planted, our kale and our lettuce. So one of my dogs, she really likes eating the kale plants and kale in general, strangely enough. And so on things like mint. We have mint growing that pops up on its own in a bed, and they have not messed with that. So we have not had to worry about them messing with any of the herbs with a strong flavor. They didn't mess with the sweet basil or with our purple Thai basil. It's just mostly things that don't have a strong flavor or scent. It seems to be what they're most interested in eating. So I'm not sure how they're gonna do with the peppers. I'm probably gonna put some kind of border around this bed. If you can see the bed behind me right here, it has, basically it's a baby gate for puppies. It's to keep a puppy in. My mom had it left over from her puppies, and so she had an extra one, and she gave us permission to go ahead and use it out in the garden because she didn't need it. So it worked out really well. Yesterday, my husband went ahead and installed it for me. Look, all that fell off. That's all that's left. And he just used some wood screws, outdoor wood screws, and screwed it into the side of the bed, which kind of definitely worked out. And the cool thing is that right here it actually has a little gate that opens, so we could walk in it if we wanted to. Hopefully we don't, because it would compact the soil, but there's that option. And then my son wants to, this is his garden bed, so he wants to go ahead and plant out some more carrots. We have new Kuroda carrots, and luckily those do really well in the Texas heat. So because we're getting close to the end of March, the weather's been a little unpredictable. We've had a lot of drought, but also had some really warm temperatures and really cool temperatures. So I figured let's go ahead and hold off on planting out too much until this week when I got these peppers. So hopefully we don't have a freeze or anything crazy unpredictable like that. And we can just plant some more carrots. I did take my brassicas out, so I had all my kale still growing, and I just went ahead, picked the whole plant, and cut all the leaves off and then fed the rest of it to my chickens, because my kale already had a ton of insect damage that just happened over the last week as the temperatures warmed back up again from the 30s and 40s. So I thought, well, with there already being so much insect damage, I definitely don't want to risk keeping the kale in the garden, and then as the summer plants get transplanted in, just already welcoming a high amount of insects. So I kind of went ahead and thought about that, planned ahead so we don't start off the warmer growing season for our peppers, tomatoes, and cucumbers with a lot of pest pressure. So hopefully that was the right decision, and we don't suddenly get some crazy unexpected freezing temperatures, because that would be really unfortunate. Okay, so here we have 2 rows. There are 7 peppers instead of 6, so it kind of worked out, because it ended up being, if it went at $5.98 with 6 in there, it would have been just under $1, about $1 a plant after tax. But there are 7, so it ended up being slightly less than $1 a plant. So we have 4 in this row and 3 in here, and then if we wanted to go ahead and get maybe 2 more 6-packs, I could definitely plant 4 here, 4 here, and 2 here. So that would kind of work out and be perfect. For sure they had another one, so that kind of works out. We're close enough to Bryan, Texas, that we can go down to Producers Cooperative, and they have a really great deal on plants. I know they have a ton of different peppers. The reason that we put these in here is because they are sweet banana peppers, and this is an area that's connected to our home. You can kind of see the door to our living room right behind us. So this allows the kids and the dogs just a place to hang out. Unfortunately, if we let the dogs, they will definitely try to get in the beds, and they just roll around in the dirt and eat some of the plants. So that's why you see some stuff around here. And then it's just a cool area where they can come out, pick what they want, snack on it, do what they want with it. Each kid kind of has an input on the different beds, so one of my kids has a bed full of mint right in front of me, a carrot bed, and then we have a bed over here that has a huge trellis on it that I'll show later on, where we'll be growing cucumbers. And then I think I'm starting some watermelons under the cucumber trellis. That way, come the end of May when there's cucumbers, it's just so hot in Texas for them, and they either get really bitter or stop producing. I will go ahead and take those vines off and just let the watermelons go absolutely crazy. And so that's kind of a great way to do it. And then maybe I'll plant some Chinese noodle beans over the trellis too at some point. They do so good during the hot weather. I find that some people say that their noodle beans don't produce well, and I think it's because you really do need a hot and long growing season to get a pretty good harvest of them. So if you're in a cooler area, you may not do as well, but we lived south of Houston, right on the Gulf Coast, and they just thrive there, especially in the humidity. We did see a lot of pest pressure on them, flea beetles and aphids, but we would just wipe them off and they still produce regardless of the amount of insects. So there's just a little bit of planting right here that I'm getting done today. I figured while I'm out here, I might as well show you guys exactly kind of what I'm doing, and that's it. So next I'll go on and have my son come out here and he'll plant his carrots, and hopefully we can get the other things painted out today.